Good morning, everybody. Welcome whenever you're joining. So nice to have you here. Thought I'd get outside again and bring us down here by the lake this morning and just share this space. So grab a coffee, grab a tea, let's hang out a little bit outside and bring some energy from this natural space in to start our day. Listen to the birds here a little bit. We got some Sandhill cranes walking at us here. And so I hope this space can be an encouragement to you. I'm going to be sharing some thoughts with you from Atomic Habits on building a habit stacking process. So I hope you really like it. I am here with you in the chat, and so I will be giving you some thoughts, and then we'll jump in. Be happy to hear from you, have a discussion. So share your thoughts as we go along, and I will look forward to talking with you about it. So this section, habit stacking, this is where we are getting into a section trying to put these pieces together that we are building into a process that hopefully can really help us build something really powerful. He starts this section, he's telling a story about this philosopher who was apparently writing one of the either first or most prominent encyclopedias in Europe in the late 1700s. So kind of a brilliant guy, but didn't really make much money off of it. And so when it came time for his daughter to be married, and he didn't really have money for a nice wedding, is how the story goes, but a reader of this encyclopedia who loved it just gave him a huge amount of money just because they felt bad for him or something. They said equivalent today about getting $150,000 just as a gift. And so this gentleman was so happy, and he could pay for the wedding, and he wanted something nice to wear in the wedding, and so he got a scarlet robe. Beautiful scarlet robe, they said. And apparently he passed it down, I don't know, some journals or this story. I guess it's a real story. Because the robe was so nice, he, all of a sudden, everything else he had didn't seem so nice. And so it started a cycle where he soon had to upgrade other things. New clothes, and then he felt bad wearing the clothes when he's walking around his house, and so all of a sudden he had a new couch and a new rug and a new table. Say here, like dominoes, one purchase led to the next. They say this gentleman's behavior is not uncommon. In fact, the tendency for one purchase to lead to another, very common in a spiral of consumption. Spiral of consumption. And as I was reading through this, has it been your experience? It doesn't have to be just things that you buy. Certainly it comes to mind in our space. Food can be a cycle of consumption too. And this is a big thing that I'm trying to help us unpack. It's like you eat one thing, it's like, what is next? It like starts things going. Sometimes, if you are in the right space for it, it's like nothing is actually the flow state. That's the fasting state. When we're out of the consumption cycle or spiral, like this is saying, at least for a period of time, can be easier to flow through that space. And then have to be very thoughtful about how we get out of it, right? So that we don't end up in effect like this person is having. Sometimes just the simple meal is best. Like, I'm all up for an extravagant meal. I love it, invest in it. I'm not saying don't have it, but like being conscious of a cycle like this that is always keeping us in a pattern. Here's the observation of this. He says, many human behaviors follow this cycle. You often decide what to do based on what you just finished doing. Have you thought of it that way? And so across all domains, okay, yes with our food, yes with everything else, yes with exercise and everything. No behavior happens in isolation. Each action becomes a cue that triggers the next behavior. And then that should trigger our thinking. Remember, he is giving us this cycle: cue, craving, response, reward. So really what we're going to see is that it's a flow. One habit flows into the next. When it comes to building new habits, you can use the connectedness of our behavior to your advantage. One of the best ways to build a new habit is to identify a current habit you already do, stack your new habit on top of it. This is what he calls habit stacking. Showing like habit 1, we want habit 1, loop back around, habit 2. Loop back around habit 3, and that all of this stuff can flow together. This I have said a lot, right? We want to be getting into a flow state. We want to be building the habits and cycles that are bringing us through everything we have to navigate in our day in a flow state where it's like we don't really have to think about it. And this sort of idea, habit stacking, like really being intentional, to me this is like creating the process, like we have said. Remember how we've said like we want to do the work so that all the decisions kind of mapped out and we've kind of gotten through the barriers to them so that we can just flow through them. And so this is, I think, a good way to try to practically build that. He says, habit stacking is a special form of an implementation intention. Remember, we did that one the other day. That implementation intention, remember we were saying like scheduling it, getting on the calendar, saying I'm going to do this action at this time so that we can, I think the language it gave was like give our intentions a space to live in the world, you know, like we're scheduling it. This one says it's not about the particular time and location, it's just when the habit happens. So you pick the first habit, whenever that is. So this formula says, after I do this specific thing, then I will do this new thing. And he gives a couple examples here. After I pour my coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Like that's the thing. So say if it's coffee, that could be our thing, right? I would say coffee fasting, right? Whether it's coffee or tea or just water, right? Some sort of pleasant beverage helping us in a fasting space. And then I love to build on the channel, the connection. Fasting space in the body, meditation space in the mind. So this is taking us right there. Couple routines. Coffee is helping us with the appetite. Meditation, helping us with that mental appetite. Take down the mental hunger, right? Just like the physical hunger, that we don't need so many distractions, we don't need so many things. Give space to the mind to get the mental autophagy rolling, burn through some processes that we don't need. So another example, exercise. After I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes, right? See, there is like stack the habit. Coming home, getting the work shoes off, stacking the next part of the cycle on it so that we can flow through it. Then gratitude. After I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing I am grateful for that happened today. Like, right, we talked in the last session, building gratitude as a grounding presence. Helping to build inspiration for us. So I love that. These are just simple little examples. It says the key is to tie your desired behavior into something you already do. Once you master the basic structure, you can begin to create larger stacks by chaining small habits together. He was suggesting in one part, start your little morning chain. Like, what is the flow that gets you through the morning? Have an afternoon and an evening chain, and eventually stuff can all flow together like the breeze flowing through this beautiful space. I was thinking a lot about this, okay, like the flow through the different, stacks of habits. We've said, okay, like a fasting space, like fasting is nothing. Like, do you schedule the fasting? I was thinking of this, like you could. Like we say, fasting is like the nothing that is something. It's something that you do that's kind of like a walk. Like a walk is kind of nothing. It's something you do. It's an action. You can certainly schedule in a walk. And think of fasting like that. The other way you could approach this is to say, like, the structure is what gives form to the fasting space, If we start, what are the habits and everything else that we're gonna be doing in the fasting space? It's like giving structure to the fasting space. Say, we gotta go to work, okay? If work is the thing, it's like we can flow through a fasting space while we're working, whether that's at home or it's getting out of the house or going somewhere else, or stack every other habit together, It can be all the simple things. Have the coffee, do the meditation, then I'm hitting the to-do list, then I'm getting to work or whatever it is. How do we flow through all of those spaces in the ways so that the experience we're having is optimal, like I say, our template day, and that it becomes, the goal as easy as possible. That it's a simple process that is moving us in the direction that we want. He suggests, consider inserting new helpful behaviors in the middle of your current routines. So you have a goal of reading more each night, and your current routine is wake up, make the bed, take a shower. You might put a step in there, put a book on my pillow before, like after you make the bed, right? Then the book is gonna be there. You see, it's setting things up. I love that. That's like these priming things. How do we make it as easy as possible? If you're heading to bed and the book is right there already, then that's the cue. Oh, I'd wanted to do this, right? If the book wasn't there, it's like much easier to do without it. This is like the thing. You got the little exercise habit you're trying to start after work. You're saying, take the shoes off, getting the workout clothes on. Okay, if you had them set right there, then as soon as you're doing it and you grab them, trying to make every health decision as easy as possible for us. There's a bunch of cranes that live around here, so you can hear them flying over. He gives a couple examples here. Healthy eating. When I serve myself a meal, I will put the vegetable on my plate first. Minimalism. I like this one. When I buy a new item, I will give another one away. One in, one out. Right? This is like a way, like I say here, we're trying to break out of the consumer cycle a bit, right? Fasting is part of us, even for some brief period of time. Find peace, contentment, centeredness in a moment. Minimalism, I like to say, fasting is minimalism in the body. I really like that. So practicing minimalism as a philosophy outside of the body, a way to mirror this. And I think that's like a tiny little mirror in our life of how body is mirroring our environment, right? There's another example. Clean the house, get everything in order, easier to bring the internal state into order. When the phone rings, I'll take one deep breath and smile before answering. I love that. You could bring that practice into, anything in life, right? Because we can be so overwhelmed by the distractions. We talk a lot, a text message, a notification, something. Having a practice anywhere of taking one deep breath, and smiling. Remember, these are all the priming effects, right? We're feeling bad, the brain hack, look in the mirror and smile, even if you're feeling bad. Tell yourself it's gonna be okay. You actually will feel better most of the time. It will help. It's like becoming your own, life coach right in the moment. He concludes this section on starting habit stacking. He says our first law of behavior change, to make it obvious. Habit stacking and our implementation intention more broadly, he says. One of the most practical ways to make cues for ourselves so that our habits can become obvious. It's designing a clear plan so we know this is when I need to take action and this is what I'm going to do and this is what is going to help build the flow in our life so we know the practical steps in each moment and we've kind of very consciously created and shaped it. That's what I like. You think about some interior designer, they got some philosophy that they are, trying to bring in. Maybe it's some minimalist or feng shui sort of thing, so that the space creates a feeling, We want our spaces, which is just our day, our life, our experiences, we're trying to craft it so that the experience we're having in life is the experience of health. It's like a way of being in the world. Finding a healthy way of being is the process of being healthy and helping health to manifest, in the body. I love that analogy. Health is like gardening. It's like the gardener doesn't make the plants grow, right? Gardener plants the seeds, provides the space and the water. And that is what we need in our life so often. Some space, that's a fasting space. If you're trying to lose weight, burn through blood sugar, get that autophagy effect, burning through some toxins and stuff that we want out of the body. Okay, open up the space and give it water. It's the same thing that living beings of all kinds need. So bring the conscious creation to that process. What are the habits that you want to work on and build? Let me know in the comments, in the chats. Let's have a chat about it. I will jump over in the studio and we can have a chat about it. Really nice to share this space with you here. I might jump out of the camera a little bit so we can just keep looking at the beautiful sunrise coming out there, and then I will pop over with you live. All right, everybody. Hello. Good morning. Nice to be actually with you here. This is my been my little experiment here to bring us the live show outside in nature, which is my favorite place to be. So cool that you got to hear the cranes. It's just I love it. These are such majestic birds. Are so amazing and so loud when they're right out there with it as they're trumpeting away. I say they are sending a message from nature. This is how I interpret it. They are telling us to feel better. They are just giving us encouragement from this space by the lake. They're just saying, welcome to this space. That's how I feel anyway. They may very well be saying, get away from my nest or something. But I am interpreting it most positively. How are you doing on your health path, on your journey? What are you experiencing? I would love to hear about it. And do let me know if there are barriers that you are facing with it. I envision this type of space, which is out in nature. You know, in your own personal journey, I say you try to find a space like this, somewhere natural that you connect to. I feel that that wisdom and understanding can come from a place like this. If you're struggling in a space, okay, just on your own, you say, what happens when I get out in nature? And I just try to get out of this flow, like we said in this session. So many key phrases that I loved in this, the spiral of consumption, that I feel like this is what our society is kind of trapped in, you know, like a whirlwind. It's like we're dizzy. It's like, how do I grab onto something and just try to steady myself a little bit? To me, fasting can be one of those things that can do that, to actually realize the strength and the power of the body. Help to dive deep into the physiology of the body, also the philosophy, the reality that we're part of something like this. So you get out in nature and it's just going to fill you with good analogies and also hopefully a feeling, connectedness, peace, contentment. So we try to merge that here because this is what we're trying to do, really. Center ourselves in a day so we can move forward in health. Hey, son's birthday coming up on the weekend. Exciting for that. It is my son's birthday coming up in, 24th, 2 days, turning 16, and he's got the driver's test scheduled the first thing in the morning, and so very excited for him. And no fasting yet this week, but been moving more. And so all of these things flow together, and this is, thank you for sharing that. Like, this is the beautiful thing in health. Fasting space, I say, is a mindset as much as anything. Is a mindset of health, and just recognizing the power in the body. Use it in any way that we want. I want to inspire people to get more active, moving our bodies in the healthiest way. The big goal that I have for people, lean and strong, or leaner and stronger, like this is the direction that we are moving. And so you got to move to do that. You got to the extent that you feel called to do it. Absolutely is so good for the body. And I love that. And that's two sides of it. A lot of people who are trying to lose weight and trying to exercise their way there, this is, just something to be aware of, actually get stronger, but they haven't solved the dietary side of things, and they don't really lose weight. Some people actually gain weight through that process because they bulk up a bit, which is not what they really wanted. And it's a good thing, I say. But that is the balance. Finding the balance of the exercise and the dietary process, both through fasting, if that is a calling at some point, and then choosing the healthiest foods, keeping the processed stuff out. These are the basics that we just keep sinking into, and that is how we flow toward health. Yeah, I really like this. You can think of it like a control panel with like different levers on it. It's like, today I'm really going to pull on this lever, and I sometimes say levers or dials. We can dial in a little of this one and some more of this one today and not so much of that one. Like however you think of it. Oh, There's the end of my recording. I bring us back here. So however you think about it, that is most helpful. Those concepts are all the same. And this, I say thank you. This is like the biggest key that I say of the whole thing. I think in society, and I think the vibe that is on YouTube a lot, is that fasting is a very rigid process, and it brings in so many feelings of like, or we're depriving ourselves in some way, or I'm stuck by rules in some sort of dogmatic process. And to me, I feel very strongly that fasting is basically completely the opposite of this. It is just a process of openness. It is the process that brings dietary freedom. Like, here's a whole nother lever to pull, where it's like when you think the only levers that can be pulled is like, I have to keep eating continuously in order to fuel my body, and I have to exercise all the time. I mean, this can create just such a treadmill of things. And then it's like, there's very little margin for error in a space like that, when you say, so then we feel like we have to be perfect on the diet, and it's like, I can't even have a treat ever, and we can get a lot of psychology that is make us feel trapped in a little box. And to me, fasting is saying, like, hey, we can take so much pressure off, I was like, if you're not feeling called to exercise in this space, like, here's the complete opposite. Here's a fasting space. Let the calories flow out without exercising. Both are really good, I was like, some days maybe we feel called to dial in more on the exercise. Some days we feel like, I just need a break. And sometimes a fasting space can like balance that out, where we can still move forward even without exercising. And it can bring a different type of strength to the body. And then other times we feel like, man, I'm like so dialed in on the dietary choices. And other times we're not. Like, sometimes we say, I want some treat, some ice cream, some dessert, whatever. And I don't want to feel bad about it. And you say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to lean into the fasting space a little more and just like bring it all back into balance. This is very, very flexible, Fasting only for the days when you feel called to do it. It's not for the days when you don't feel called to do it. And this, in my mind, is what helps to make the whole process sustainable. When you feel stuck in like a rigid dogmatic structure, do you feel, oh, I'm someone who does 16/8 now, like it has to be every day. I was like, well, what about when your friend comes to town and you want to have breakfast, but people who say, well, that's not in my window, I can't do it, say, I'm sorry. That's never the type of thing I would say. Or some people, I've talked to people who are like, okay, they learn how to tolerate something, like you cranked up to one meal a day, and they do OMAD, and you go on different social media things. There's entire like OMAD communities, which I'm not saying that that's bad in any way, as long as you want to do it. There's great benefit to structure, and if you find a routine that works for you, of course you can stick with it. And I've had people stick, with OMAD daily for years and just love it and say, hey, I stick with it. So, and then having the mindset where it's like, no, this is just what I do, helps make every other decision easy. And see, they're not feeling burdened by it. This is the fasting practice as openness. This is what we want to get to. If you are in a mental space where you feel called to something and open to it, and it's a flow state, and you say, this is a structure that works for me, see, but then it's not rigid. Then it is a calling and something that you feel that is supporting you. The other side of it is to say there's total flexibility, like you're saying. Like, you never sign a contract, right? And so if you say, well, I started doing OMAD now in a season and it felt good, but now you start to feel overwhelmed by it, you say, now I feel like, see, you can go back and forth on these things. There's like a propensity in society. Do you feel it? Like everything always has to go in one direction. We have a lot of linear thinking. There's not a lot of like flow state to things where we just are comfortable with the natural variation. See, when we are in a space like we were in, out in nature, then nature is giving us the examples to say, like, oh, there are seasons, there are cycles, there is a flow to these things. And so we can flow in and out of a fasting space or practice. Think of like a dial turns up and down. And we can match it to the experience that we're having in life. And see, then it can be something that can just augment our experience. It's like a booster. I like to think that. Do every basic part of health that we say, and then fasting can just boost this every other process along. I do really like thinking of it that way. Like this session, habit stacking. Like, what are the habits that are working, and how do we stack something else on top of it? That is how I see the fasting space, really. I was talking in our my Dr. Z program, Dr. Z method, with people yesterday, and we were talking about, is there a hierarchy or a priority of how you move toward every health process? And, there's the 4 main things that I focus on. And you can think of things, different ways as a hierarchy. I'm obviously very interested in meal timing effects and fasting. And so sometimes I describe fasting as that base layer, whereas because the body just exists on its own. Like, this is part of how I feel. Body is powerful, and in its base state, a human being for at least a period of time, shockingly longer than we often think, we're just good, we don't need to consume. And then we can think of adding every other good thing on top of that, our healthy food and movement and mindfulness practices. So sometimes I put a high priority on the fasting space, just to highlight that grounded nature of it. The mindset that I was exploring yesterday was totally the opposite. And, I like to quote Charlie Munger, always invert. We try to think from the opposite perspective to really understand something. And inverting that process is to look and say, fasting is really the pinnacle health practice. And we need these foundational processes. You could say healthy eating is the foundation, and our nutrition is the core thing that is bringing health and wholeness and nutrients into the body. And we need that. And I totally resonate with that. See, all of the health practices that we have are each so beautiful, and they are all interdependent, that they're really all foundational, really. But however you think of it, healthy food is our foundation, and then we add on the movement off of it and the mindfulness practices, and then we add fasting on top of it to the extent that we want. See, that's beautiful, and from a certain perspective, you see, maybe that takes a pressure off. And I like that. If fasting in any way feels like a pressure situation, okay, maybe you want to take that perspective. This is the little booster that we stack on top. We build our other health practices. You say, I'm already getting in a flow. We get the flow like this, a habit we're already doing. And then, like the Atomic Habits is saying, stack this on top. You can certainly put the mental health part of it. You say, mental health should be the foundation. Look at it from that perspective. What is more important than our mental health? And if we are taking, especially if we're struggling with barriers, if we're feeling stuck, if we're dealing with difficult emotions, if we're struggling with anxiety, depression, discouragement, anything like that, to get into a space, hey, before I start overhauling my whole dietary things and all exercise, do I have the fundamentals here? Am I connecting with people, be that mental health professional, a therapist, someone to help you if you need it, or are you connecting with a journal, right? Which is, I say, becoming your own therapist, writing out the barriers and answering these core questions that we have been getting to. What do I really want? Who am I? What is my way of being that I look? See, that can be the foundation. And then out of that, add in, the other good things from there. Like the healthy eating, and that is the talk I did with Michelle Pito the other day, metabolic psychology. And I think that is completely fascinating, and that is showing this deep connection between mind and body, whereas what we eat flows back around into supporting our mental health. And then fasting, of course, is doing the same thing. And so all these things are loops between our mental health and our food, our mental health and our movement, our mental health and fasting. And what we want is many loops, many virtuous cycles between these things, so we move forward. Queen of Heaven is here. Good morning. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome to this space. I did the first part of this session, and I'm very much would like feedback from people. First part of the session I recorded on Sunday morning, the sunrise over Lake Wingra in Madison, and then I was giving reflections on that. I have to let me know if that is a good thing to do or not. I don't know if it connects with people or not, but I enjoyed the space, and we think if we do more of it, or if people prefer, I can see, just to bring you into my process, I can see, I don't know if it works 100% well, but you can kind of see how many people are coming on to the live stream, and it seems like a lot of people come in and then jump off. Well, I've been doing this recorded thing, and so I don't know if that, to some people, does it not connect? I'm trying to find ways to connect with people as much as possible, so very open to everybody's feedback on it. But I do like that concept, trying to get as many loops, as possible between, this is what I'm going to think about for a minute here right now, between mental health and every other way of our being. This is putting that mental health as the core process. And then seeing everything else. This is what I say, everything we want is wellness practices, right? If some sort of change that we're trying to make, if it's going to be sustainable, it has to make things better, If we say, I'm going to start a new health habit, but it's stressing me out, it's going to be very hard to ever stick with that in the long term. And so people do this classically, get through January, they start the gym membership, and it's but they don't really want to do it. It's you say, I want to lose weight, but you're I'm not really into this. And so classically, people hit that for a couple months and then burn out and then stop, And so to make something sustainable, it basically has to solve a problem. It has to help us to feel better as we do it. And so these loops that I see, maybe we call them wellness loops. We look at some barrier we have. This is diving us deep into this section. Obstacle is the way, right? We have a problem. We're moving through something. We need to solve a problem, helping life to be better. And as we're solving that problem, then it's increasing our wellness, and that is moving through the obstacle. The obstacle is the way. I do love that. Appreciate this feedback. Yeah, people like live interaction. Yeah, so this is the thing. I tried this out. I did 2 sessions just, for my weekend while I was working. I did the session live from the woods, the forest reflection. I did like that, and then I did this one, sunrise on Sunday, and it's interesting as an actual video. I guess if I was going to do a video, sometimes I film these things. I was like, maybe I should just post these as videos and then just go live. So it's kind of like a test run. Maybe it'd be it would be interesting. I don't know if we find a way actually to do it. Actually go live out in the world. We'll see. I like this. Yes, habit loops for exercise, fasting, mindfulness, and nutrition. These are the ways. Each of these things are wellness practices. You clean up the diet and you start eating more healthfully. Can you feel better? Yes, absolutely. And so that supports wellness. That's solving a problem. Say, I want to feel better. I want more energy. I want to feel, lighter and better. Okay, and then you start eating better, and you're like, oh, and so you're creating a virtuous cycle. And then the same thing can happen in exercise as long as you're pursuing it mindfully, You're not burning yourself out. You're working with the body as a partner in ways that feel good. Because do you experience it? I know that was me this morning. I fought the battle this morning. I had the alarm on and to get up and get on the bike this morning. And then I had the same thoughts. I was like, I just don't want to do it. I just want to stay in bed another 20 minutes. But I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And then, do you experience this? Then once you're done, it's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad I did that. I feel so much better. And then it just, gets everything in a better space. Fasting, of course, like that. And that's the way to pursue it. Like, have you experienced it where you leaned into a fasting space and then you felt better? Like that the digestive system felt better, that the body felt lighter and better and more energized, that it circled back around and helped you feel like eating something more nutritious and better. Like, this is my experience. Like, oh, I just went through this health space, this fasting space, felt good. Like, I've opened up this cleansing space in the body. Doesn't it just inspire you to want to put something healthy into it? I mean, this is my experience. That I was like, man, because it is an effort. Like a fasting space, it is an effort to do it. And of course, we want to bring in the mindset that is like, oh, make it effortless. Like, that's like, we want to flow through it. And sometimes maybe it's like that. We get in a flow state, we're doing something else, and then we're grateful for that. But then sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're more aware of it, and we've got to do the mental work, really, of like flowing through it. And you say, hey, if I invested in this process, where I'm like really giving my body the opportunity to flex the fasting muscle, and do some work. Like, don't I want to give my body a gift and only put it in healthy, nutritious things so that it doesn't have to do so much work to process any sort of toxic thing? I see that. See, I like to see fasting as like a gift. We're like giving a gift to the body. This is like turning every negative mindset upside down. I mean, I think it is the reality as I see it. The autophagy space in the body, which is the cellular cleansing and recycling pathways that is like spring cleaning for the cell. Say there's all this garbage sitting around in the cell, dysfunctional proteins and broken down stuff that the body used at one point. Now it needs to recycle them. The space where it does that, where it refreshes everything, makes everything new, it does that actually in the fasting space. Like, how incredible is that? Don't you want that in your body? I read that story once from that Dear Artist book about helping our cells to be serene. They were coming at it from a meditation space. See how all this flows together, that we bring our mind into peace. We help the cells of our body to be serene. I was like, well, I want some serene cellular things going on, body at peace and health. It's like, well, autophagy does that. This is what's amazing. You can't buy autophagy. You know what I mean? Autophagy is something you have to give it to the body. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Like, you have to do it. You just have to open up the space. That's why it's a gift to the body. Think if you could buy it. How much money would people send for a deep cellular cleansing of the body to bring serenity to the cell? Like, people pay a lot of money, I would tell you, a lot of money. And but it's something that you have to do. Can't buy it. It's part of the habits that we have to stack in our process. So then it's a gift to the body. And when we see how, on a deep cellular fundamental level, that fasting can be a gift to the body, then we can start to see that nutrition is a gift to the body also. And that these two, this is just like shaking hands with each other. And if we've gone through an autophagy process, get the toxins out, really do that work. So let's only nourish the body in the healthiest way. Queen of Heaven says, I think it has a lot to do with how we lived as young people. We have to fight to change. Yeah. We have done so much thinking over time about the habits and the patterns that we get in. And there's definitely that earliest level, it imprints deep in there. And for good or bad, and especially, people who've experienced trauma, I think the younger people are when a trauma happens, like, you have less of a reference, and so traumatic things that happen to us when we are younger too, it's like really get imprinted in there. And so, yeah, have to fight to change some of that. Absolutely. Do the work, it takes a a lot of mindfulness and a lot of thoughtfulness to do the work, to dig down, to get in and uproot some things that were implanted deep in there. And that's, I do want to encourage people so much in that way, is to say that it is possible. I think a lot of times people feel like, I've lived on this planet 70 years or whatever, say I can't possibly change now. And I just want to give you a gigantic encouragement to say, look, we just went through this session, the sunrise, it's a new day. Like, this day is a gift. And we have an opportunity right here in this day to start writing a new chapter of wherever we are, and to start creating a new way of being. And I really want to encourage you to do it. If you are here and you're listening to this perspective and you're thinking, okay, I know some people say that it is, okay, but not for me, okay? Not for me. I want to really push back and challenge you. I am talking to you, right? It is possible for you to completely break out of cycles, no matter how long that you have been in it. Because isn't this the truth right here? Don't you really want to change? Isn't this why you came to a fasting channel? To learn about something unique and different. You say, this way of being that I have here, I can feel that it is not optimal. I feel that there is something different or better. And I at least want to check it out and try it. See, to me, this is saying, can you feel it in there? There's something that you want to change. There's something you want to be better. There's a mountain to climb, right? And this is what I really want. The book that we have been going through, The Mountain Is You. I say pick up a copy. Okay, get a copy yourself. I am doing my very best to help walk everybody through that book. Try to tease out and shape that book, which isn't really a weight loss book, into the type of thinking that can really help someone do it. But get your own copy and have your own journey with it, and really sit with it, The mountain is you. I say the mountain is me too, because, we've all got difficult things and darkness that we try to deal with in our own way. And we all, this is what I love about the live. We're walking a path together. Sometimes, change is difficult. Okay, I say that. Change is difficult. Change about how we eat, I often say, is the very most difficult thing to change, because it is so deeply connected into our emotional state, and our physical state. See, it's right getting into that intersection, mind, body, same thing, but we think of them differently. And then actually our food and how we eat is like something that is sitting right in the middle of that mind-body space. And then, like Queen of Heaven is saying, we have patterns that even were how we were raised, and that just can feel like so much of who we are. But this is what I'm trying to say, is that we can think a new thought, right? We have thoughts that have been shaped by our development and experience in this world. And so our thoughts come around and they shape who we think they are, but it is a story that has been created through our experience, and are the stories that we tell ourselves do not have to define our future selves. And I want you to think for a minute about just a dry erase board and just wiping that slate clean for a minute and saying, hey, whatever, say, we're going forward. We have space here. Like, there is space. Like, as long as we're on like this side of the ground, right? We have an opportunity to live in a different way and to make the very healthiest decisions and to maximize this absolutely incredible, precious gift that we have for our life. None of us know, when is our time to depart this earthly plane, Nobody knows, okay? No matter how old we are. Could be quite a long time. Could be not very long for any of us. And so that obstacle is the way. If you get that one, I love that book. He's got a quote in there. I should refresh it. I read it a few years ago. I think Memento Mori is a Stoic sort of philosophical perspective. And I'm forgetting the whole interpretation of it, but it's basically like, remember that you could die tomorrow and let that shape how you live today. Like no matter where we are, like this day, this space that we have, precious gift. Doesn't matter about the past. Like now is where we are. Maybe we don't know how long this goes on. Like let's just live even for one day, and because that's the very grounding process. Like how do I live in the healthiest way that is true to the essence of what I want to be in this day? Like, and just to live it. See, that's the artistic expression. To me, what is a human being? And why are we here, And I say one perspective is to try to live our healthiest experience. That health in the physical body then mirrored outward, to others, right? Because like I would say one of the reasons we're here to show love and kindness to people. The mirroring between the body, right? We want to show love and kindness to others. We got to show love and kindness to ourselves. This is a cycle and a flow between these things. And we have said so often, we're often terrible to ourselves, right? We often are judgmental and punishing ourselves. And so if we want to be loving to other people, right? Like, are we loving to ourselves? A big part of being kind and loving to ourselves is taking care of ourselves, giving the body a gift, right? Giving the body the fundamentals that it needs to be healthy. Fasting space is one of those things for most, for everybody. I was studying yesterday that the DNA repair enzymes that help prevent cancer processes are activated in that autophagy state. Like that the body can comb through that DNA, look through errors and mutations. Like I want some of that running. You know what I mean? So like, when we see like, okay, giving the body a gift, fasting space, actually, even if it is difficult, we say showing love to the body so that the body can be cleansed and renewed and healthy. Okay, isn't it from a place of health, grounding, positivity, flourishing? Isn't that actually also then the best way that we have the energy and resources and mental state to flow out and show love and kindness to the world? And isn't this what the world needs? More people acting out of love and kindness and for people. So that's the flow. Send some of that love inward to radiate it outwards. Doesn't that just sound healthy? I mean, this is the type of way that I want to try to live. I say, is it easier said than done? Of course, most things of value are easier said than done. But this is why it's a practice, right? This is why it is so good to take a space like this, to sink in and center and just like really drill these things in. This is what I'm doing in my mind. I'm trying to like prime my mind right now, Love self, love others, be healthy to the self, healthy, radiating to others, right? And then we can all support ourselves. I think in that forest session yesterday, I loved the thought that was about finding gratitude and sharing gratitude. Have you had the experience? Someone shares a gratitude, and then you're like, oh, I am grateful for that too. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think there's a lot of benefit to this is what community is, isn't it? Is like, so somebody has like a piece of light and they share it, and then it brings light to everybody. So, a book I have read, The Battlefield is in the Mind. I will write it down. Thank you for sharing. It sounds good. I would just say the title is resonating with me. The Battlefield is in the Mind. Of course it is. I totally agree already. And I will like to see where they go with that for sure. Stack the habits. What habits are you going to be working on stacking? Think through it today. Feel free to come back in this section, share ongoing thoughts in the comments. They all come to me. We have an ongoing discussion about this topic as we go along. And I will be back fully live tomorrow. Fully live. I have no more recorded things. We'll do some ongoing thinking about if we should do this or not. The thought that is coming to me, maybe I should frame it more, Maybe I should go live and we have a chat and then I could bring in a nature thing. This is what I do. You know, I've been filming it just with the backgrounds. Oh, this is what I'll do. I filmed a background of the sunset after I was in the forest video yesterday. I went up to the top of a hill and filmed by the sunset. And then a bald eagle flew around, and I got that on the video for a tiny little bit. So maybe that is the way, just to mix it. Then I can just be live and have the nature background. And maybe that's better than just recording myself. Share ongoing feedback about it. I want this to be your space. I am trying to create the spaces that are most helpful and encouraging to you. So do let me know. Beautiful to share this space with you today. Thank you so much for being here, and I will look forward to connecting with you tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.